Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen. And as always, we don't have that much to unlike always, we don't have that much to talk about tonight. I do want to talk about the Knicks depth chart. I have a slide of that, and just whether or not the Knicks even need another player, whether they should leave that spot open for a young guy. I do think, in my opinion, in terms of roster construction, the Knicks still have work to do, like a little tweak in terms of a secondary ball handler and playmaker, in my opinion. But I'm not sure there's even room. If there is a player we can identify, if there's even minutes for that player, given who's on the roster. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll open the phone lines and whatever else you guys want to talk about. Sherwin already talking about the young guys and how none of them need any playing time. Just spend their time in the G League. We'll talk about that a little bit. Jerrell, Geoff, Ajay, hello, and how are you?
Salute. Happy to be here, Steph. You already know.
Already know. Always happy to be here, man. The highlight of my Thursdays.
Great Thursday night football, right?
Yes.
This is much better than Thursday night football, yo.
That is true.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew K. OG signed a sneaker deal with Skechers. Yeah, they're a match made in
I'm about to say you look like somebody that
nondescript. But good for him. All right, let's get right into it. I'm gonna pull up this slide of the Knicks. Can we all? Yes. All right. This is the Knicks depth chart right now, and we can argue whether Hart is going to start or Mitchell Robinson. I don't think that's much of the issue right now anyway. But if the starters were to stay the same, in that second unit, there's McBride, Clarkson, Yabusele, Robinson. Maybe a player from the first unit plays with the bench. Maybe a player who I have situationally finds themselves as regularly in the rotation. Maybe Brown is going to play 10 players every night, right? And so one of those guys will find themselves in the rotation. I know the Knicks, as per reports, are still looking for yet another player. I'm not sure how much room is left in terms of playing time, unless we're talking about, playing somebody 8, 9, 10 minutes. Somebody like a Ben Simmons, you playing him 10 minutes a game, 8 minutes a game, maybe just behind Brunson. Somebody like Amir Coffey, a small forward who actually had a pretty good year for the Clippers last year. You playing him 10 minutes? Are they going to come here to play a limited role like that? A lot to talk about. But just looking at the depth chart, does anything stand out for you? And do you think is there room for another player, a veteran player, to come in and get significant minutes? And let's say significant is 15 or more. Jerrell, we'll start with you.
Okay. 15, I can see 15. Anything more than that would be kind of sketchy. And I think it depends on who it is and what they bring to the table. Like Amir Coffey, I can see him playing that many minutes. I got to check to see how many minutes he played for the Clippers last year. But
I think it was 23. I'll double check.
Yeah, if it's 23, then I expect, if he's going to sign here, I expect him to get 23 minutes. I don't know how, but I highly doubt that he'll come to this team just to play like 14, 15 minutes a game. That wouldn't really make sense for him unless he doesn't have any offers, and we can't pay him that much money anyway. So unfortunately with this roster, we have to talk about the Ben Simmons sweepstakes, which is weird for me.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of his. But at this point, And at this stage of the offseason, like training camp is going to start soon. It looks like he would fit right in that puzzle. Everybody have seen him play before, so we know ball handling and defense and stuff like that. So our roster looks like it needs a small forward, and much as I don't like him, Ben Simmons actually fits that. So if you come in here and play like 15, 16 minutes a game, I mean, sure, but it's Ben Simmons. I'm not exactly sure how much he will play, period. So, and that's kind of the reason I don't want him.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have to be either Coffey or him. And I don't see another guard. Like, unfortunately, we do need another backup point because nobody considers Deuce or Jordan Clarkson a point guard. But we desperately need another ball handler, even if it's not a point guard. And Ben Simmons, obviously fits that. So,
yeah, Ben Simmons though. He could play point guard. He could play small forward. He could play power forward and some center as well. But as Kerry Cox brought up in the chat, it's going to be hard to play him and Mitchell Robinson together. And then you throw in a Josh Hart. That's the Bam Bam unit right there.
Yeah, I actually think if Ben Simmons is the answer, say if he does pick us, I think he starts with Cat.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa, hold on. You think he's a starter?
No. I said that's what probably will happen. I don't view him as a starter personally.
But you think he would start on the team?
He can, yeah. Because he fits with the starting unit more than is either him, Josh Hart, or Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
If he's on the roster. So it would have to be one of those three that will start. Like, I don't see it being Deuce or Jordan Clarkson or Yabusele. So it would have to be one of them three. So when you look at one of them three, you just have to, like, you don't see him and Mitchell Robinson playing together. So when is he going to play? And with who?
Yeah. Though, yeah. Okay. We'll get back. We'll get back into that. Geoff, looking at the roster, anything stands out? What else do you think the Knicks need? And will that player? How much time can that player expect to get, given the early depth chart, I should say?
Well, to take us the piecemeal one at a time, I think JJ is right. We definitely have a hole at the small forward spot. You don't even have that position filled in as far as a second unit guy, right? You left that square blank, so that's an obvious thing. But I honestly think that the need at point guard or a secondary ball handler is just as glaring, if not more important. Like, I think we have guys. I think you can play Josh Hart at the 3. You can play Mikal Bridges at the 3. You can play. We have guys that can play the 3. And you can move. Clarkson and Deuce could be your 2s, and so you can slide people up. You can even play big and slide OG down to the 3 if you had to. So we have guys that can play the 3. I think the 3 is more Anunoby's natural position anyway. So if you're going to start Robinson, then maybe that takes care of that part of the equation. But then you also have to look at it from the math is the math, right? And so if you're just playing your starters 30 minutes a game, that's 150 minutes out of 240. That only leaves 90 left, right? Well, if you're going to play, 25 minutes for the other 4 guys, you can't even do that, right? So if you say in 20 minutes for the other 4 guys, that gets you up with 10 minutes left anyway. And so, the math says that there's not going to be a niche carved out for whoever we sign unless it means a diminishment of Deuce's minutes or Yabusele's minutes. And I don't think that's the case, because I think Yabusele is going to be our primary backup big, and I think it's going to be a 3-person rotation some way or other between Yabu, Mitch, and Cat, just kind of operating as the 5 at various, stints. So I think that's going to kind of stay in place. Mitch isn't going to probably give you more than 25 minutes a night anyway, of good minutes anyway. I don't see him as a 30-minute per game player, even if he is a starter. But but again, I'm worried about that back. I wouldn't even be and I'm not a fan of his, but even someone like Campaign, as he showed his value as a point guard at some point during the season, injuries are going to happen, and we don't have anybody to step in that I'm comfortable or confident with at that one spot. And I don't think Tyler Kolek showed us anything. I know summer league results you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, but he didn't play very well, in my opinion, in summer league, or show that he can lead a team perhaps with better talent. That goes away, but I wouldn't be confident with him starting for sure. And I wouldn't want to give him more than 15 minutes off the bench, even in the event that Brunson was hurt. So, and I don't really, as Jerrell said, I'm not overly confident in Jordan Clarkson and Deuce McBride kind of sharing the responsibilities, because I think if you have 2 lead guards, you don't have any in some instance, right? I want one person kind of setting up the offense, getting things going. But then the other part is, if you're doing a lot of Phil Jackson triangle type stuff, the point guard really doesn't matter as much, right? Because all they really do is make that initial pass, and then everything works off of cuts and everything else. So it depends on what we're running offensively too. I know that Mike Brown likes a lot of the Princeton stuff, so maybe we can get by on with just Clarkson and McCall and Deuce kind of sharing the load. It's not ideal, but I don't know if there's a perfect solution. Although of the options that are out there, has been Simmons kind of checks the most boxes, in my opinion. You're muted, Queen.
I agree with that. Depending on the offense, you may not need a point guard, per se. But, well, I shouldn't say that you might not need. You might be able to get away with a McBride Clarkson backcourt, right? Just ball movement, player movement, reading the defense, making the right decision. But I do think, though, there are times in a game, even in a situation like that, where decision making is important. Depending. Yeah, what's Deuce and Jordan Clarkson's and the rest of the decision making like? You know what I mean? Is Clarkson going to just come up and not be cognizant of the fact that we didn't get shots the last 2 possessions down the game, down on the offensive end, and he's just going to come and pop one up? You know what I mean? I still think if they can run the offense, I still think you need somebody that's cognizant of what do we need right now. And I think that's where I get a little shaky when it comes to McBride and Clarkson. Not that they can't score, pass, shoot, hit a cutter, not necessarily that, but just what do we need right now? And I think there are times even in the second unit where you need somebody who's has the macro, the big picture. They're holding that and they're thinking about that, right? Not just the micro, not just let me just score, but what do we need? So I agree with you. I think we need a secondary ball handler, a secondary playmaker, and somebody that we know can make good decisions. Otherwise, it's going to be just Brunson running back into the game. Things get a little tight, get a little heated. Brunson's running back into the game. That's what we had. Ajay?
Can I see that chart again? Please?
Sure.
Jerrell, you muted Jerrell. Man, that three spot is painful.
I said, my bad. I said Ben Simmons should start. So Steph blew the boxes up and said, "Whoa," and took the roster off. My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shock the world like that. My bad.
But we talked about that. If the Knicks would have signed Beal, right, he would probably, start.
Yep.
Yeah, Ben Simmons is not Beal though.
Kofi is a better shooter than Josh Hart. Maybe Kofi, we signed Amir Coffey, and the next thing you know, he's starting. I don't know. But Ajay.
Wow. I mean, Queen, I have to agree with you that we do need another ball handler. Because those. I mean, looking at this chart, the non-Brunson minutes are still going to be a concern, unless we get somebody. Unless Mike Brown figures out a way to make the offense work without like really needing a point guard. But I'm looking at this. Does anybody, Queen? I don't know. Did you picked that up somewhere online, or did you make that? Is that an ESPN chart?
No. Okay. No.
Am I the only one who think Yabusele can start? Maybe slide OG to the 3 and have Yabusele start at the 4.
I don't think they'll do that, but he could. I mean,
why not? Because of money. Because of who's getting paid what? I mean, it's what's best for basketball. Listen, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't think it's a money. I don't think it's a
politics,
a money issue. I think it's also a defensive issue as well. Yabusele doesn't have a reputation. Now he could be it could be a different story once he gets here, but he doesn't have a reputation of being a good defender. And I know people talk about Josh Hart. Josh Hart did have an off year, but I do think overall he's considered a better defensive player than Yabusele.
His defensive win share numbers would certainly support that. That's one of the things that I was surprised about with Hart and Bridges. We tend to think of them as not fantastic defenders, but their defensive win share numbers are really good. And that's not a be-all, end-all stat.
Yeah, not as defensive stats are, but I understand.
But I think when you're as strong on defensive win shares as both of those players are, it's a little bit tough to argue that they're cones on defense, to say the very least. They may not be elite, but they're better than average, both of them, on the defensive end, even if they do some things that will cause you to rip your hair out on a night-to-night basis. And I think both of them can be guilty of that.
Right. I mean, to me, I think something that's not talked about enough, to me, McBride and Clarkson is a duplication. Quite frankly, I would prefer to see a legitimate backup point guard and McBride, or legitimate backup point guard and Clarkson, more so than McBride and Clarkson. And I don't know if they're going to make, any other trades to clear that up, or if this is just how we're going to roll. But coming into the offseason, one of the things I wanted was another point guard so that Brunson can play off ball some. And truly play off ball, because this point guard can actually run the offense, run sets, run actions. And I don't think we have it. Maybe McBride, improves even more, in that regard. Maybe Clarkson shows us something that, I haven't seen. I know he's a better passer than I thought. But to me, that's a big hole is kind of strong, a big need for the Knicks.
So how do you feel about Russell Westbrook then?
I actually like Russell Westbrook, even though he's a bit, he's never been a good shooter. But again, neither has been Simmons. Neither is, Marcus Smart, who I wanted to come. He's not a good shooter either. But I like Russ. I like him. He's somebody that, he's probably not the defender he once was. I don't know what his defensive numbers are, but I would think that he's not a cone. You know, he plays hard. He's gonna rebound for you. He's gonna run the offense for you. I don't have a problem with Russell Westbrook, but this is the issue. You bring in Russ, you got McBride, you got Clarkson, you got Brunson. There's just not enough. Somebody is going to wind up sitting the bench.
Queen,
Probably Deuce, I would imagine. I mean, because in other words, if you're bringing in Russ and you already signed Clarkson, I don't know, but Mike Brown doesn't have any ties to Deuce. Cover your ears, Wiz, if you're out there. So he doesn't have any ties to those. So I think he's just going to say the best player is going to play, you know, and I don't know how you evaluate Russ, Clarkson, and McBride, but I think that there's definitely a world where you can say that it goes Russ, Clarkson, McBride, or, you know, I don't know how you evaluate them. It'd be interesting to see. But again, if you have that, then I think I don't know. Do you play more small where you get some of those guys minutes at the 3 spot? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah. JJ doesn't like the small guard lineup. Remember, I don't know if Shaman is out the picture either. I haven't heard much about him this week, but I know last week, you know, he was still somebody the Knicks were considering.
But he's a duplication too. Like
he's a duplication too.
I mean, he's more of a clone of Deuce and Clarkson probably than any of those other guys that we've been talking about. So if you're doing that, I think you're making matters worse instead of improving it. Unless there's some kind of trade in the works that opens up a spot that we're not seeing, which is possible, but you know, that may be one of the reasons why we haven't heard anything about a signing yet either, because maybe the picture is not complete. I don't know. But for this team right now, we need someone with positional versatility that has some ball handling skill and point guard ability. And much as I dislike him, like Jerrell does, Simmons checks all those boxes. And if you're not a fan of Simmons, Russ is the other option that makes sense. And I'm not a fan of Westbrook and his minus 40 in the closeout game against OKC last year. That's the image that sticks out in my mind from Westbrook. But if you bring in Westbrook, you're bringing him in to play 25 minutes a game. You're not bringing Westbrook in to play 5 to 8 minute stretch. I can guarantee you that.
Right. So Geoff, I'm picking at you here. Russ has been in the league 23 years, and the only thing that stood out for you is the negative 40, not the MVP, not the triple.
He's not the player he was in the end. Like Russell Wilson was like Mr. Triple Double back in the day.
Of late.
But I mean, we're talking about Russell Westbrook now. I mean, you know, we're talking about in their prime. Let's get Clyde Frazier in here, right? He was one of the best point guards of all time. Like, you know, but you know, you have to go with what they're doing right now, and that was in the postseason recent. That, I mean, that's the impression I had. And my wife really likes the Joker, and so we watch a lot of Nuggets games. And Westbrook was, I'll just say, tough to watch a lot of times last year.
Okay,
for me,
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not sure what his role will be on this team, but at this point, for me personally, I'm not looking at people's plus minus in a playoff team on a different team for last year, as far as this team is, you know, is concerned. Different offense, different role, different, you know, it's mostly, is this somebody who can fill a need and can help? And we're rolling the dice with Westbrook. We're rolling the dice with Ben Simmons. We're rolling the dice with Brogdon. You know, we're rolling the dice, you know, basically with any of these players. If I had to rank them, they all such a question mark. Like Brogdon, can he even walk at this point? Like,
let me say this though, Queen, for any of these guys at the vet min is not an issue for me. Like, if we were paying Ben Simmons $40 million a year, like he was making when he was with the Nets and the Sixers. Yeah, I have a problem with that. But you're talking about vet min guy. You're going to be talking about someone who's imperfect as a player, has holes in his game, is at the end of his career, all of the things, right? And so we have to keep in mind this is a guy who's making $3 million a year, and you could if he's that much of a disaster, you could probably just cut him loose and bring someone else in. So, I think that, from that standpoint, you talk about vet min salary, these guys have flaws. It's which person's warts can you overlook the most? It's how to think of it, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely a consideration. And I think another one is who may outplay the contract. Who has the best chance of playing the contract and giving you something? It's like hitting. Like, who can we hit on? Yeah, it's really interesting. JJ said, remember last year we played 3 tiny guards off the bench at once? I hated it. That's the other thing in terms of, Clarkson is 6'3", McBride is 6'1". That's
Deuce is shrinking all the time. I think he's going to be 5'5" by the time the season starts.
Is he taller than 6'1"? He's 6'2"?
No, I don't think he is, but I just like he was 6'2", and then now he's 6'1". He's gonna be like, no, but I think he is. He's one of those players where I think the folks said they met him in summer league, and they're like, yeah, there's no way this guy is 6'2". That's like definitely a media guy to height. Right. Even though his arms and his wingspan is really, really decent for a wing.
Yeah.
Even.
Paris Douglas says, I never want Brunson off ball, but I do want Brunson off the floor more with a point guard out there that makes our others better. Russ Simmons type is hands thumbs up. I hear that. Nostalgic Nick, I ain't signing nobody that can't defend. Okay. Tired of Brunson pounding the rock. Please get a ball handler. DKEJ21, will McBride come back this year even better than last year? If so, it will be a plus to play him and Clarkson. Okay. All right. Apollo thinks McBride's time is up. I wish the Knicks will stop holding on to him. Okay.
Jason Benjamin got a super chat in there.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason Benjamin. Appreciate you. Simmons is the choice. Checks all the boxes we need. He adds ball handling and defense. He can play with the starters and bench. Low risk, high reward, in my opinion. So my understanding of Ben Simmons, he's going to make his decision next week between the Knicks, the Kings. I think he's been connected to the Celtics as well and Phoenix, I believe. Listen, where's Ben Simmons playing? Do you think I don't think Ben Simmons is coming here to play 10 minutes.
But with Ben, you have positional versatility because you can play him at the 1 through the 4. So it's easier to find minutes for a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like someone who's just a 1. Like I'm not saying I want him back, but Campaign or Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet's just a 2, right? So that really limits you even further, especially with what you were talking about earlier with the Clarkson McBride duplication. You really want someone who can, fill in multiple spots because that's a way to borrow more minutes. And we don't necessarily have to get the playmaking from a guard, right? If he's 6'10" and he can play it from the small forward spot, that's just fine too, especially if you can surround him with shooters, which would be ideal.
So it kind of looks like Ben Simmons can start, huh?
So you would I mean, what's the difference?
I'm just saying it would make sense. I don't like Ben Simmons.
Right.
So I don't even want on the team, but I'm saying if we do get him naturally.
So you would start him over Hart. He's a worse shooter than Hart.
Yeah, I know. But
he's a rebounder than Hart too.
He's a better rebounder, you said?
He's worse.
What's his rebounding percentage?
He's not a bad rebounder, but Hart is a stellar rebounder.
But he also had like 7 assists in like 20-something minutes last year. Playing the power forward or point forward for like Brooklyn and a little bit of So
I think we have to look at rebounding percentage. Historically, he's a strong rebounder, but again, he's not who he once was. So, just given how many minutes he plays, like what's his rebounding percentage? Yeah, I hear what you're saying. If Ben Simmons is in there with McBride and Clarkson, they're shooting around him, but Ben Simmons and Mitchell Robinson.
Nope.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons and Josh Hart isn't much prettier though.
Nope.
No, I agree. Yeah.
It's almost like he has to start.
Yeah.
Or at least get some minutes with the starters. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't start.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Benjamin, appreciate you. You start with Simmons at the 1. Oh. And Brunson at the 2. Then McCall, OG, and Towns. That's a versatile lineup. Simmons, Clark, Hart, Yabu, Mitch, or Hulk works too.
That would be the starting lineup.
So then he would be the only non-shooter in the bunch.
Right.
I mean, I think that creates the same problems as Hart in terms of they could still put the center on Simmons, no? Or maybe because he handles the ball a lot, they would be less apt to do that.
Right. He handles the ball.
I think if he's in there with Brunson, I still see Brunson handling the ball. Like it's hard for me to imagine Brunson playing off ball, playing the 2 basically.
With anybody or just him? Or just Ben Simmons?
With anybody.
Oh,
Basically it's a change in position.
Yeah.
It's a change in position. He's not, yeah.
It's going to happen. We have a different coach now. It's going to be different things.
Because honestly, that's what I want to happen.
You want Brunson to move to the off guard?
Yeah.
But that's your point guard. You're going to have to change your slogan to that's my off guard.
It'd be my off guard then. It's all good. He's still Brunson. And I still, he's efficient enough. I don't think he needs the ball in his hands in order to be an efficient scorer. And that's what we really need him to be. For the most part. He'll have the ball in his hand, obviously. But he doesn't have to have the ball in his hand to be effective.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that. Like, I do wonder if Brunson could be effective just like playing like Curry, just running off screens and shooting threes.
Well, maybe not shooting threes, but I could see him running around screens. That's what I kind of wanted him to do. Instead of just getting beat up with the ball in his hand. Got to switch it up somehow. We're going to.
No. I mean, switching it up is one thing, but I think a big part of his game is the footwork and getting in the key. Catching players, defenders off guard. Listen, I agree with you in the sense that he can come off screens. I'm not saying he can't do that as a part of like mixing it up, a part of his game, but for him to just be coming off screens, shooting, coming off screens, making quick moves, attacking closeouts. Will Brunson still be Brunson if that's his role? True. I guess. And can the Knicks be as good with Brunson playing like that?
True. I guess in my head, I'm thinking how Philly used to treat Allen Iverson because he wasn't the point guard on that team. He was the shooting guard. But he didn't just run around and shoot threes off screens either. Like, it has to be a way that he could do it. I'm not saying Brunson would just do that all the time. Right. But sometime during the game, he should not have the ball in his hand.
No, I agree with that. But to me, with Snow and Iverson, I felt like Snow was just bringing the ball up. Like Iverson still looked
But that's
like
what, but that's what we're talking about, though.
Okay.
Kind of, not all the time, but kind of. Yeah, I need him to not get beat up from, from under the basket to the other side of the court, especially in the playoffs. We need
I agree.
Simmons, they're not going to be able to just like double team him all the way all the way down the court in the backcourt like Indiana was doing to us, and Boston even to a certain extent. They were just like, manhandling him 94 feet. If you have another outlet who's really good with the ball, you can't really do that, and that is something that we need.
All right.
Yeah, but in that respect, you're not, and in Iverson's respect, you're not really changing his game. It's just somebody else is initiating the offense. He's still one of the primary players on the offense. He gets the ball. He does his. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I thought you were talking about him just playing different.
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be completely different.
Right. Okay.
I definitely do not see him playing like Steph Curry. Like, I don't see him just running off screens and shooting threes off the catch. I don't see that.
Right. Wow. Okay. Paris Duggar says, I want Deuce and Kolek out of here. Deuce doesn't make others better and gets cooked by his comp too much. I want Brunson to be the only short guy here. I mean, I would like the Knicks to have a bit more size. I don't think Deuce's job is to make others better. I think Deuce plays off ball. So his job is to knock down shots. Right? I don't think it's his job to make others better. And I don't know about getting cooked by his. So what are you saying that whoever he's
struggle in that
plays
Detroit
him?
series, for sure.
Say that again.
He did struggle against Detroit defensively.
He did.
I think that's maybe what he's referring to.
Right.
I don't know. I don't want to speak
one
for
series though. Let's not, blow it up. But yeah, I agree. He didn't play well in the Detroit series. Okay.
I think we had one more super chat. That was just before that. Jason Benjamin.
Okay. Jason Hart, appreciate you. Deuce Hart would need to split minutes on the bench. Yeah, I think we're getting too down on Hart.
Right now,
now you want him to play just 18 minutes a game or something like that.
But do remember this though, Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Hart and McCall led the league in minutes last year. like led the league in minutes last year. So and McCall played all 82 games. So it may not be the worst thing in the world to be able to ratchet back his minutes by 5 or 6 a game, if you can. And same thing for Hart, and that opens up 12 extra minutes for somebody. I don't know necessarily who, but
I agree. But splitting minutes with like McBride and Hart splitting, that's like what? 12 minutes a piece, 18 minutes of 18 minutes. That's no.
You're not playing Hart less than 25, 30 minutes.
You're not paying him less than 25.
I would agree with that.
He's in my opinion, he's one of the premier role players in this league. And you could talk to probably every coach would want a player like Josh Hart. You just got to make sure you're not, and this is with any role player. You want to put them in places and in position where they can shine and where you're not asking them to do something that's not really their game. Right? So no, the Knicks need Josh Hart. Josh Hart had he had a career year last year. At least statistically, he had a career year statistically. He was the team's second or third leading rebounder. Yeah. In the playoffs, did he get hit backdoor a few times? Yeah, he did. He did. He wasn't perfect. But he gave you what he gave you what he had. So I don't know. It seems like the fan base is down on Josh Hart. Okay. Hart was
all going to be Mike Brown's pet
I mean,
too, nostalgic Nick. I'm just warning you ahead of time. He was Tim's pet. Coaches love guys like Josh Hart. He is probably going to be Mike Brown's pet too.
I was actually reading, listening to a podcast. This was like, a YouTube video. It might have been from KFS with someone who covered Mike Brown in Sacramento, and he said the same thing. He said, "Y'all want Josh Hart to get less minutes. Josh Hart is a Mike Brown type of guy, so he wouldn't expect his minutes to be reduced that much."
I think Deuce's days are numbered here. You know how I feel? Remember when we had first got Dante DiVincenzo?
Mm-hmm.
I said that IQ's days are I view him as
you did call it.
I say he's IQ.
Rhymes, you mean, right?
Mm-mm.
Or IQ.
No, I said Dante was going to be IQ's replacement. I think Clarkson is going to be Deuce's replacement. Like, I kind of see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of roster construction, if you can bring in a point guard that can defend, the point of attack, obviously if you can bring somebody that can defend the point of attack, run the show, and shoot, that would be ideal.
$3 million, that would really be something.
Right. That would be, Merry Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Happy birthday. That would be perfect.
Yes. Lord Scientist, just give us a few minutes. We will take calls. Give us a few minutes. But 2 out of 3,
I take a strong 1 out of 3 right now.
So would you, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be, it could be a trade.
Mm-hmm,
too,
sure.
right? It doesn't necessarily have to be signing somebody. It could be a consolidation trade.
Mm-hmm.
But would you give up Deuce for somebody or reduce his minutes if you can't trade him for somebody that's just gonna run the show and Ben Simmons. Would you reduce McBride's minutes so Ben Simmons can get more minutes with Clarkson?
Much as I hate it, yes, I would.
Wow.
And like I said, I'm not even a Ben Simmons fan, but yeah, he's still a better player than Deuce McBride is.
Jerrell, I'm starting to think you love Ben Simmons.
Nah, man, it just makes sense. Like, they're forcing me to like Ben Simmons on this roster because this roster is incomplete. It doesn't make sense, some of the stuff that they're doing. Like Clarkson and Deuce McBride being your backcourt coming off the bench. That doesn't make sense. Two short shooting guards coming off your bench. Why?
The problem with Deuce though, he can't, because he makes his salary so small, like he really can't help you much in trades. Like you can't really get much.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with you can't do much with him
unless he's in a package with somebody else.
Yeah, but with who? Like, who you willing to lose in that package? Or who you willing to pair him with that's going to make a difference without being one of your main guys?
It might be the Knicks have to make a decision on Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, one of them too.
They have to make a decision.
Or maybe both of them compared, depending on what the trade is. All three of them might go.
Have to have a 5 in that deal somewhere if you're letting go of Mitch, because
right,
Yabusele and Hart. I mean, it's Yabusele and Cat is not a sustainable rotation at the 5 spot.
I was about to say,
I like Buck too, but I'm not even sure that that's.
Yeah, it depends on how much they like Huck Porty, because I like him too, but I don't like him enough to just automatically be our backup center like that. But it all depends on how much Mike Brown likes him.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker Visions. Clarkson. Come on now. Clarkson will be traded by the deadline because he don't play no defense. How are we going to trade Deuce? And Deuce is the only point of attack defender that we that we have. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think Clarkson is going to be traded. Does he have that value?
Nah, he doesn't make enough money.
It doesn't make enough money to get much for him. If you
It
do,
depends. Though. It depends. I mean, if we get Jerrell's favorite player, we'll have another point of attack defender.
Don't you dare claim that. Ilk.
The Green Lanterns are after you here. You might need some yellow to combat him or something. I don't know. Where's Sinestro when you need him?
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks are trading Clarkson. The Knicks need firepower off the bench. That's why he fell in their laps, but they got him. They're not. I would be shocked if they trade him unless he's in a package for someone that suddenly became available.
Yeah, I hope people don't think that I want Deuce to go. Yeah, I like Deuce more than I like Ben Simmons, but one is a better player than the other.
In terms of roster construction, and
right.
I agree with Luke Skywalker in terms of him being a solid, a really good actually point of attack defender.
Like if Deuce is not here, he's still going to help somebody else. I don't think he's going to be out of the league or anything. I think he's a good, young guard still coming off the bench. But for what we need him for, I don't see it. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah. Jury is out. Curtis DeYoung, and still we see how the roles play out under Brown. Does Deuce even have 20 assists in his career? That's not his role. I mean, come on. How many 3-pointers does Mitch have? Like that's just not their role.
During the season or during the summer?
Right?
During the summer, he's a pretty good 3-point shooter.
Right.
Oh, man, I was watching the workout video Mitch put out. He up there draining free throws like it's nothing. Like, man, you don't get out of here with this.
Yeah. Listen, the Knicks, in my opinion, still have some roster construction issues. They can make it work with this roster, as is. I still think they're a championship. This is a championship contending roster. I just think it would be stronger if they had another ball handler, playmaker. It would be stronger.
I'm wondering if they're not planning on the double big lineup, moving OG Anunoby to the 3 and putting Josh Hart as your backup 3, though. I'm wondering if that solves that part of the equation, and then you can focus more on someone with point guard skill. I'm curious if that's the direction that they're heading. I don't know that I have no information, but I'm just curious, just based on the roster, if that's not the way to solve more of what ails us, because then you really have our 3 best defenders in the starting lineup, with Mitch and OG and Bridges. Like, they can cover up for Cat and JB the most, and then probably still going to have to run some zone with that unit, I would think, but I don't know. The what makes the most sense, just based on everybody we have, is maybe seeing more Anunoby minutes at the small forward moving forward. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm not a fan of the double big lineup. I think, in my opinion, the Knicks are at their best when Cat is at the 5, and I just think the Knicks need to lean into offense and just work on being a adequate defensive team.
But to Jeff's point, what if we got another 4 though, and still slide OG to the 3?
Another 4, and just give me an example of a type of 4 prototype. Somebody that can shoot.
Yeah, see, that's tough now. I'm trying to think of anybody that's available. Like, we almost pulling at straws at this point.
I mean, in a perfect world, I would love a defensive 4 next to Cat.
Yeah.
I would love a defensive 4 next to. I mean, OG is that can. Well, OG is a defensive four next to Cat who can shoot. The issue with OG is that he's just not a good rebounder.
All right.
That's the issue with him. But he's a defensive four. He can shoot. He's just not a good rebounder. Now you taking Hart out of the starting lineup. Who's your rebounder? Bridges is not a good rebounder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
So I guess the question I had is, do we even need a 10th player? I guess the answer is yes.
I mean, we if we trying to win a championship, yeah. But I mean, we could just roll out with the 9 that we got now, unless you want to. Unless you're thinking, one of the rookies are going to get some type of burn as the 10th man, and which rookie is that?
Kolek.
Hmm.
I don't know. I heard somewhere that they really planning on playing Kolek.
I saw that too.
Yeah, that report just came out on X today.
Yep.
Keith Wright or somebody, I'm not sure. I didn't recognize the reporting. I don't know how dependable or accurate. Like, if it's not Ian Begley, I tend to there are a couple others. Michael Scotto is pretty good, and a couple others, but I didn't recognize. I'm not saying it's not quality reporting. I just didn't recognize it, so I don't know if that's the gospel or not. So
I was looking over the show from last year, and it was a similar report. How Kolek was going to get minutes as a rookie. I think he came off a really good summer league, and yeah, that was the report, and we didn't see much of him. Listen, how much room is there? I'm not comfortable with McCulloch as the backup to Brunson. And if that's the case, the Knicks don't need to sign anybody else. Kolek is the backup. So now it's Kolek, McBride, and Clarkson. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not.
True. Like if Kolek was supposed to get, these minutes that, people want him to have, they wouldn't be looking at Ben Simmons or anybody else or like Marcus Smart or anybody. They would have just played Kolek.
Yeah. All right. Jason Benjamin. Simmons replaces MR. Mitchell Robinson. But adds versatility.
Right. That's pretty much like if he starts up at the 4 alongside Cat or at point and they all, stay where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell Robinson has his limitations, but to me, he's just better defensively than Simmons, in my opinion. I mean,
for what he does, yeah, probably. But Ben is just more versatile, though. That's it. And he's a good defender, but yeah, Mitch at what he does, Mitch is a better defender.
One's a 5 and the other one isn't. So I mean, it's kind of it's kind of difficult to compare. I'm not sure it's a fair comparison to either player. Like you could probably put Simmons on a 5 for a possession or 2, but I don't think you would play him at the 5 spot for extended minutes. And I think you could probably play him 1 through 4 though, and so. And that speaks to the versatility and he's a good perimeter defender, assuming his back hasn't completely slowed him down. I don't know if how he's doing health wise and all that stuff. I haven't seen, like, I know him from his Philly days back in the day when everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing, and then I know the playoff collapse and then the holdout and I don't know, the toilet after that. I don't know how else to describe it. He just kind of fleshed his career, but
Right. I mean, what are the 5s we're talking about? I mean, he probably can't guard Embiid, but how many can? When you think about the 5s, in the NBA. I mean, he's 6'10", and to your point, if his back is strong, who are the centers? Miles Turner, Brooke Lopez is now in, with the Clippers. Bam Adebayo, like those are not really, big hulking centers. But you're right. If you're talking about Embiid, yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen. Paris Duggar has a serious problem with Deuce. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't get 50-50 balls. Pritchard, McConnell, Trey Dorgham, no passing talent, just an okay shoot. All right, fine. You don't like McBride. Okay. I mean, we get it. Appreciate the super chat.
We're gonna fly across the country ready to fist fight.
I mean, what I'm saying is every player has limitations. That's just it. Every player has limitations. Josh Hart has limitations. Mitchell Robinson has limitations. Cat has limitations. Brunson has limitations. Like every player has limitations. It's up to the coach to play each player to their strength. That's it. There may be players that get that may get the best of Deuce. That's going to happen with anybody. I'm pretty sure if you looked at his defensive metrics, advanced stats, I'm pretty sure he grades out okay. So,
and if you do want to play 5 out, that's the guy you start. Like if you legitimately, I know there's some folks out there who don't like 5 out, but if you want to play 5 out with this roster, Deuce is the guy you insert into the starting lineup. That's the best way to do that. If that's something that you want to see, and I don't know that we need to run it all the time, but I think we should at least see it in spurts for sure, because I think it unlocks Towns and Brunson.
Right, but I think it could be any shooter. I mean, it's Deuce because on this particular team we just don't have anybody else. Right. So it could be Deuce. It could be any other. We just need another shooter to be able to play 5 out. And when Deuce was in there last year, the team was better. And that's a fact. The team ran better when Deuce was in the game.
And
whether he
the
shot
lineups
or
of
not.
Deuce and Brunson weren't horrendous defensively, you would think, logically you would think, oh, they're so small they would get crushed on defense, but that's really not what the lineup data showed that I saw anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the lineup data with Brunson and Deuce together was actually pretty good.
Right.
And a lot of that was because McBride could guard the point of attack 94 feet. You can play faster. You do a lot of other things. So yeah, it's not ideal, but other teams play small backcourts too. Cleveland won 60 some odd games with a short backcourt last year.
Yeah. Listen, I'm all for upgrade. If you're telling me we're upgrading McBride to a point guard, a legitimate point guard to play next to Clarkson, with some size, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But I'm not going to sit here and say one player is not a championship piece. Like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? This player is not a championship piece. If you win a championship with them, they are. If you not, none of them were. Like, I don't get it. Anyway, thoughts on Amir Coffey, who I like actually. But is that just more duplication in terms of other players who can play small forward? 6'7", 210 pounds, had a really good season with the Clippers last year. He played 72 games, 13 starts, 10 points, 47% from the field, and 41% from 3. These players are not coming in here to play 10 minutes, though.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know any what he's thinking. Does he like what is he doing right now? Like, does he have a list of teams, or is he just waiting? And what is he waiting for when it comes to being signed?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what his deal
Maybe
is.
he's not a very good defender, and that's why he's still.
Yeah, but
like,
a 6'7" shooting 40% from three, averaging 10 points last year. I don't know. It's kind of weird that he hasn't been signed yet. Like, how much money? It's not that much money out on the street right now for him to get a big payday. So I don't know. It seemed like he would have got picked up by somebody already.
I'm wondering if it's. Remember how Precious Achiuwa kind of was in limbo forever last offseason, and then the Knicks were able to pay him more than the market would bear later on. I'm wondering if it's a situation similar to that, and maybe this plan is to stay with the Clippers. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he just has to wait
so
it out.
So waiting. Yeah. Gotcha.
I don't know. That would be the only thing that other than East Blue Drew said maybe he was injured. So that could, if he's not healthy, that could certainly, shrink the market for him too.
That's true. I didn't think about that. He might have an injury that I don't know about.
Right. All right. Let's open up the phone lines. Let me get this, if there's anyone. I think. Wow, his name escapes me right now.
Lord Scientist.
Lord Scientist. Yeah. If you want to call in, you can call in.
Yeah, I know.
Your time to shine, Lord Scientist.
This is your time. Not 2 minutes before we. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, yo, Steph, crazy. Steph, I'm gonna get off now.
Okay.
See y'all next week, man. We talk about more Knicks stuff. I know it's tough being in the off season, man. Finding things to talk about and stuff. There's no moves happening. I'm still not. Trade might still happen. You never know, man. We got Cat right before the training camp last year.
28.
There is a trade coming. I can smell it.
Yeah. If I had to put money on it, I would put money on a trade coming as well.
Really?
I would.
Okay.
I don't think. I'm not sure they're comfortable going into the season with Deuce and Clarkson as the guards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how comfortable they are with a contract extension for Mitchell Robinson or Mikal Bridges. So,
or do you see a move coming? Is this before, like, if he chooses us or not when it comes to Ben Simmons?
Oh, I don't think it's contingent on. I see what you're saying, that if he doesn't choose us, then they may feel pressed to make a trade to bring in a point guard.
Right. Or if he does choose us, probably won't make any moves at all.
Saw something interesting about the Mikal Bridges extension, though, in that I forget what the sourcing was on it, but it said that Bridges may actually be waiting for the extension because if he signs it after a certain date, that's 6 months, less than 6 months till the trade deadline, which is February 5th, then he has a de facto no trade clause. So he may be wanting to wait on his extension because if he signs it late in the offseason, then the Knicks can't trade him this year. And then he's if he gets traded, it'd be next offseason, but he gets his money and he gets to guarantee that he stays in New York for the year. So that may be something that his camp is looking for. And I don't know if Robinson's in the same boat or not, but that's another thing to keep an eye on, as that I would say like the August 6th or so is right about that cutoff point. I don't have a calendar in front of me, and I didn't. Shame on me, bad job by me that I didn't have that figured out. But that could be a consideration as well on the extension talks.
Right.
So I'm going to not sign my extension to make sure they can't trade me at the deadline, even if they want to.
Right.
That's nasty business.
Right.
That's crazy, but all right, y'all, I'm out. I see y'all. Y'all, everybody have a good night. Salute to the chat. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
All right. Try again, Lord Scientist. Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't come through. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, let's move it over here. Hold on. Let me bring that down. Yeah. Is that coming through the mic?
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
So
To send a voicemail, press 2.
I don't hear it. I hear it on my phone, but I don't hear it coming through the mic at all.
Mic check.
You got, yeah, it's not, I don't hear you coming through.
We can hear it, Queen, but not like far.
No. It's supposed, no, it's not you. I hear him coming through my phone, but I don't hear him coming through my my headphones or through.
I can't hear him right now either, except for like a muffled mumble. So
yeah, can you say something else?
Mic check. 1 2 1.
Yeah, he's coming through my hold on one second. No, I can hear you. You're coming through my phone, but not the mic. Hold on one second. Yes, it's connected.
and while we're waiting, just to let everyone know, I'm doing my season review on the Knicks starting lineup on the blog the last few days. The article on Towns is coming out tomorrow, and I did OG first and then Bridges. I mean, OG first, then Hart and Bridges, and then Bridges came out today, and then I'll be doing one on Cat. I've just finished the one on Cat. I'll be doing one on Brunson this weekend. So
thank you for that, Geoff. Prolific writer that you are. All right. I'm not sure what's going on. It says connected, but it's not. You know what? I'm just going to forget the device and start over. Wow.
ain't technology grand.
1 second, Lord Scientist. 1 second. Okay. While I'm doing this, anything else you two had to talk about? Anything in the chat? If somebody can check the chat that you think is interesting, then we'll do this call. And
well, yeah. So, size 9. Shout out to size 9. Always here, always rocking with us. Says we waited too long for Mitch. So now we paying the price. So of course I ask, what price is that? And he says we can't make a move for the second straight season. Like, I don't. Side note, where were you last season? I mean, I could have sworn we last off season we acquired Mikal Bridges and we traded for Karl Anthony Town, 2 major pieces that came onto the team. But you're out here talking about we can't make a move for the second straight off season. Like, what?
Oh, I think this. Hello?
What are you talking about?
Call
Please.
from
Lord Scientist, Brooklyn.
Okay.
to accept, press 1.
What happened?
I don't know. You sounded good that time though, so whatever you're doing was working.
Good, but then they just
Cut out.
All right. Try one more time, Lord Scientist. Sorry, chat, replay gang, silent listeners.
No, it's all right. I'm hoping Size 9 answers my question because he says we didn't make a move last off season. I could have sworn we made major moves last off season, but
that's
I'm
not
for Size 9.
signed Cat in the offseason.
Yeah, we signed CAD. We bought a Mikal Bridges. We extended OG Anunoby. I don't know what
I think he's referring to the fact that we at the trade deadline we were up against the second apron, so there wasn't any flexibility to alter the roster come the second half of the season. I think that's more what he's referring to, and we're in a similar situation now, being capped at the second apron and limited to only one vet min player and a small rookie contract for a Dink Pate or a Diawara, somebody like that, for that other roster spot.
You specifically said last off season. Okay, so you were not talking about last off season. Size 9. You're talking about the trade deadline?
Lord Scientist, can you call back one more time? I mean, listen, there's some in the chat who feels that this is still not a championship roster, that it's still somebody said misfits, somebody said the roster isn't there yet. I don't think the roster is perfect. I mean, listen, first of all, we don't know how Mike Brown wants to play. He may feel great about Deuce McBride and Clarkson as the guards in that second unit, and both of them being able to, shoot the ball, and hopefully Clarkson's defense will come along. He may feel great about it. I'm the one sitting here saying I feel like we need another defender. He may not feel that way. I mean, ball handler and playmaker. Anyway, same exact spot we was in last year.
I give up on that one. I don't know what Size 9 talking about. I think Geoff threw him a lifeline, but he didn't get it.
I get what he's saying. I think he's got a valid point that we don't have a lot of flexibility, but I think that's kind of by design. We didn't want to get up to the, we didn't want to be above the second apron, and so they kind of put the shackles on themselves purposefully. Like, we technically could go above the second apron if we wanted to. For instance, bring back Precious Achua, we could sign him to a larger contract than, well, we can't anymore because we could have. We can't now because of the signing of Yabusele. With the Yabusele signing, we're actually capped at the second apron now. But earlier in the summer, before we signed Yabu, we could have gone over the apron to do that. And I'm not saying that we want to do that, Size 9. I'm saying that we could have done that. But they basically have boxed themselves in salary-wise, you might say. But I think that was in order to avoid the second as long as possible and put it off another season.
Hello? Yeah. I don't hear him.
I don't hear him either.
Hello? I don't hear him at all. Yeah. I mean, he's on the phone, but I don't. Yeah, I don't hear him at all. All right. You know what? It was what it was. Yeah, and it is connected.
No, Size 9. I'm not trying to reach Size 9. You're not explaining what you're saying. And Geoff is explaining for you, but you're still not. You say everything Geoff says, you say that's exactly what you're saying. The elevator music.
Oh, there we go. Hello.
Lord Scientist.
Hello?
There you go.
Yes. Can you hear? Okay.
Can you hear me?
you. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Salute everybody. Long time.
Salute, my friend. Welcome back.
Hey, I've been waiting and anticipating for oh so long. Listening to a lot of the shows and like, man, I want to call in. But anyway, yo, dig. First of all, I don't know why everybody hating on Josh Hart. I'm really blown by that. This man put up the Knicks franchise triple-double this year. And I'm like, what was all of that for? If he's trash, how did he do that? A triple-double season, what he did? Okay, I don't know. Maybe because I can't see. But I don't know. That just doesn't add up with me. You know what I mean? Like, and then again with Deuce, I don't understand where all this hate is coming from. Somebody talking about Deuce is trash. Listen, Deuce at the Detroit series, if everybody remember, Deuce just came off an injury at the end of the season. He was just working back into that. I don't know if that means anything, but I got plenty of things I've seen Deuce do that caused us and helped us to win games. Specifically his defense. I can't tell you how many times he came in the game and got 2 or 3 steals back to back. So I don't know where that is coming from. I told you this a while ago, and I haven't been hearing his name, but to me, who the Knicks should get is Gary Payton Jr. Because of his defense, and he's good at handling the ball. Is he a good shooter? No. Can he get buckets? Can he go to the rack? Yes. But he can control the tempo, and he can control the rock. And more importantly, for his size, he plays incredible defense because, of course, his father's legacy being the glove. Now, this other dude that we're talking about, that y'all was just talking about, the dude, the 6'10". Listen, I think he had, Simmons. Like, height-wise, I can see the reasons of what people are in favor for him for. But to me, he had a back injury, and back injuries are funny. You know what I mean? Back injury is what ended Larry Bird's career and a few other people. So Larry Johnson. So I don't know if I would even waste my time with Simmons. To me, we should rock out with what we got. I heard on one of the podcasts where potentially between Tyler Kolek and what's the dude that had to wear the face mask, Kevin McCullough Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they say he has ball handling skills and what have you. So something about that he would be a good possibility. I really don't know. I don't know too much about him. I don't know if y'all do. Me, I'd rather just try to let Tyler Kolek work it because at least with him, you know what you got.
Any concerns about Tyler Kolek in the playoffs without a lack of, given his lack of experience and not having another point guard on the bench?
Well, to me, I consider that, and I consider how when March comes, then you got these little veteran players that be around looking to get picked up because it was happening last year when we were saying we needed to get somebody because Mitch wasn't coming back yet, and they were looking at little veteran dudes to get. I think that's what we got to do.
Bought out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that part of the season, there's going to be little scraps and stuff that'll be out there that's not available right now.
But we won't be able to sign them, Lord Scientist. We can do it now because it's in the off season. But because we're a second apron team, if somebody gets bought out during the season, we won't be eligible to sign them. It's a little. The rules are a little bit different in the CBA. During the off season, anybody can get those players as long as they're compliant with the other CBA rules. But the rules specifically state that teams that are over the first apron cannot sign waived players during the regular season. That's one of the penalties for being a tax team.
Well, wasn't we over the first apron last year when they was talking about doing that when they signed what's his name, PJ Watson? Didn't they sign him at that time?
But he wasn't cut. He wasn't a waived player. He wasn't a waived player.
Oh, okay. I understand what you mean.
He was still a free
just
agent at the
available.
time.
Yeah, he was still a free
Right.
agent. So technically we could do that, but also with our roster situation, we only have 12 guys under contract right now. We have to get that up to 14 by the second week of the regular season. So we're going to have to sign somebody to that
Same thing we had last year.
spot.
No, I'm sorry, Jeff, not to cut you off, but that's the same issue we had last year when we only had 12 players because Shamet was out with his shoulder. And that's the same issue we had. And we filled it with a two-way spot player twice or something like that. I don't know. But to me, it's not as difficult as it seems the way it appears. I mean, idealistically, yes, we want a backup point guard. You know what I mean? In the right possible outcome. Realistically, what we have available. If that's the case, we might as well resign DeLon Wright. To me, if we're really going and banging our heads the way that we're banging it, here, DeLon Wright ain't get signed. I would rather sign Shamet back and let Clarkson be the point. You know what I mean? If that's the case, because he's more than capable of being the point. I know he has excelled as an off-ball player. He can run the point. He got handles. So it's like it's not a big pool of options for us right now. You know what I mean?
With the point guard for you, is it mostly what's important? Being able to get the ball up the floor and initiate the offense, the decision making. Like what do you think this team needs? Like, are we overstating the need of the point guard? Is it really just somebody who can get the ball up the court and initiate the offense?
To me, yes, based on 1 through 9. If 1 through 9 is the way it seems on paper and what have you, yes, to me, it's not that much of a critical necessity that you have to have a dynamic kind of point guard to come off the bench. You need a point guard that's going to protect that ball, you know what I'm saying, and who can play defense. So that kind of helps compensate for whoever else can score off the bench. You know what I'm saying? Ideally, yes, we want a point that's going to score. Tyler Kolek can do that and distribute the ball, but his defense is what's going to cause the problem. So Shamet showed us real good last year, especially in the playoffs. He's capable of playing defense and plays pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But can he create for himself off the dribble? No, he needs to come around the screen, come off a pick. You know what I mean? And then like he got handles where he can cross somebody up and take a step back. He's not that player, but can he score otherwise? Yeah. So, I mean, it's like if you set Shaman up with the right point guard, the ball going to be right where he need to be and he going to score. It's just like we got the dude that we just got. I call him Yabba Dabba Doo. Yabaseli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's his nickname for me, Yabba Dabba Doo. On my Flintstone thing. But yeah, to me, he's a person who can create, who can, play defense, who can be like, to me, I don't want to say he's a 3-level scorer, but in certain instances, he is. You know what I mean? Then that's the next thing. How is the starting lineup? If the starting lineup is, which is my favorite choice, Brunson, Deuce, Mikal, OG, and Cat. To me, that's my favorite starting lineup. Because Deuce helps compensate for Brunson on defense. And then with the defense of Deuce, Mikal, and OG, them long arms, that helps. You know what I'm saying? Because Deuce starts the point of attack, and then you got OG hands in the middle and Mikal hands in the middle. So to me, that's the perfect lineup. Now, if you start in the lineup where it's Mitch, Cat, and then OG, Mikal at 2, and Brunson, then you're talking about the dynamic for the bench. So it's like, okay, if that's Mitch starting, then the bench is Clarkson, Deuce, Hart, and Yabba Dabba Doo. You need a center. Can Yabba Dabba Doo play center? Yes. But ideally, I would say you would use Huck Porty, because to me, Huck Porty would fit good with that lineup. And then that way, Deuce and Clarkson can both go back and forth with handling the rock and both play off ball. That's a nice lineup. But if you switch it and put Deuce, then here's your lineup off the bench. Your lineup off the bench is Clarkson, Hart, Yabba Dabba Doo, and Mitch. Who's scoring? You got to have somebody else with Clarkson and Yabba Dabba Doo. It got to be somebody to be a guard, to push the ball, to control. You know what I mean? That's why I said it depends on how the lineup is arranged. Because the benefits you have with Mitch, you lose when you got with Deuce. The benefit you have with Deuce with fast pace and ball movement, you can't have with Mitch, because Mitch is not a threat except for a lob. You get it? So it's like you got to pick your poison. To me, a good point guard that can play defense and is good at, facilitating, distributing the rock, whatever, he can get a couple of layups here and there, a little floater here and there, but his main objective is defense and getting off that rock, passing that rock. That's what we need coming off the bench. That's just my opinion, though. You know what I mean? For accepting my call. I miss calling in. Salute my man, the greatest DJ, Aj, and my man, Geoff.
Thanks for calling in. It's always a pleasure, young man.
Thanks for the call, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to Jay Boogie too, man. I hope you're doing better in Jesus' name. Please, salute, salute, salute.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right. That was Lord Scientist. Appreciate him. From Texas, but he's sure to let me know he from Brooklyn. We got it. Still, Knick fans, Deuce is one of the best defenders in the playoffs, and with his versatility on offense and 6'9" wingspan, you can work with it.
We're gonna have to at this point.
We're gonna have to. I mean, listen, would I like a 6'7" Deuce? Yes. Would I like a 6'5" point guard playing with Clarkson? Yes. But this is what it is. Unless the Knicks make a trade, this is what we got. You know? Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's all I got. How about you, Ajay?
I still think a trade's coming, and I still think what the starting lineup we think is not what I think. Mike Brown's gonna come. He's gonna surprise us.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. But I will say this about Hart. I wonder how other teams are running their offense, because everybody is not running 5 outs. There are other teams who have a non-shooter in their starting lineup, and they're doing okay. And I just wonder why we can't. I just wonder, is there, I get it. We're at our best 5 out. I agree with that. That's how I would like the Knicks to play. But we shouldn't just be a hot mess because we have a non-shooter, whether that's Hart, whether that's going to be Mitch, whether that's Ben Simmons, if he signs here. Other teams are playing with a non-shooter and, at one of their positions, and they're doing okay. Figure it out.
My answer is always more Brunson Towns pick and roll. You know that. Spam it, and spam it some more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's true too. In terms of our shooting, it's not like Bridges and OG are consistent 3-point shooters, right? At the end of the year, you see their percentages, but you're right, from game to game, It is. It is.
Kyle was just flat out bad this year. Deuce at least shot 37%. But the problem is Deuce was worse in the playoffs. McCall was worse in the playoffs. Towns was worse in the playoffs. And so was Hart. Based from the regular season to the postseason, their numbers all were significantly down. And that's a problem. Like and I think that's one of the criticisms that Thibodeau got is he didn't maximize the players in the postseason, and so I think that's one of the reasons that we're in the spot we're in. That's not to say that none of them had good moments, and Towns hit some big shots. McCall had some good defensive plays. OG had some games where he was very good, but I'm just talking about overall in the 18 games that they played, their numbers across the board, nearly for all four of those guys, were less than they were in the regular season. So all that means to me is that they have more in them than we got out of them, whether it be because of injuries or what have you, that there are, circumstances there are what they are. But, I think, there's meat on the bone is what I'm saying. We didn't get playoff rising really out of any of our starting unit except for Brunson, in my opinion.
Exactly. And that's why it makes it hard to tease out how much of that was scheme and how much of that was with players missing shots. Because if players make shots, the scheme doesn't even matter that much. And I'm not making excuses for Tom Thibodeau. There are definitely things I would have liked to had seen as well. But if you get some playoff risers, then the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are in the NBA Finals. So I wouldn't conflate them not shooting well with Thibodeau not getting the most out of them. I think that is true. I think that is true. Schematically, things could have been done. But then I also think that the shots they did get, they didn't knock them down. Like how many game-changing shot opportunities that Mikal Bridges have that he did not knock down? Open shots. Poor scheme or not, open shots. A lot. So both things can be true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, both things could be true. You have to perform in the playoffs. And I get it. Poor schemes can be a stranglehold and make it harder. Poor lineups and rotations can definitely make it harder for players. I'm not denying that. But regardless, when you get an open shot, you have to make the shots. And the Knicks just were not able to do that consistently. And I said this, I can't tell you how many times, as great of a coach as Rick Carlisle was in the playoffs and is overall, Halliburton hit 4 game-winning shots on their way to the finals. 4 game-winning shots. How many we got? I think in Detroit, I remember Brunson and Cat back-to-back having 2 huge shots that sealed the game for us.
We had 2 20-point comebacks against Boston.
Yes, right. Exactly. So with the same offense. But my point is, you have to perform in the playoffs. You have to raise your level of play in the playoffs. And again, like I said, schemes make it difficult. Lineups can make it more challenging for players, but that's not 100%. That was not, in my opinion, 100% the issue for every player on the Knicks in every game in the playoffs. It just wasn't. Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Queen, I think, didn't you have a couple of starred comments that you didn't go through?
Did I? All right. Maybe I did.
I think you did.
You're on point. We just need somebody that could bring the ball up court without turning it over. We couldn't even do that without Brunson on the court. It was bad. Listen, I'm not sure if it's going to be that much better. Well, listen, let's wish Kolek the best season of his NBA career. I just think the playoffs are a different animal. The pressure is a different animal. And the Knicks don't really have ball handlers that, let's see what Clarkson does. I think McBride has gotten better handling the ball against pressure. I saw that in the playoffs. We're not a team full of ball handlers. Let's put it that way. When they're pressured.
Maybe Brown unlocks Bridges and Bridges makes some of those problems go away. Bridges took on that role in Brooklyn, now as much as we have him doing defensively, maybe he doesn't have the energy to do it on both ends of the court like that, but maybe having some of those other guys to be able to spell him some more allows him to play that role more effectively. I don't know.
Bodega Wi-Fi said for most of the game, we watched a full court press on Brunson, causing record-breaking turnovers. It seemed, well, I don't know about record-breaking turnovers, but I will tell you, in that Pacers series, it seemed to me that every turnover ended in a point.
Because that's the Pacer way. That's how they get it.
Quickly turned into a point. Would you, to somebody's point earlier, Ben Simmons or DeLon Wright? Like somebody said earlier, I would just bring back DeLon Wright then.
Lord Scientist said that.
Oh, that was Lord Scientist. Okay. I would take a chance on Ben Simmons over DeLon Wright. I would take a chance.
See, in a vacuum, I would say yes. Ben Simmons' health is a bit of a question mark. I think Wright would have more availability, and he has shown the ability. He's not a good shooter, we know that, but he didn't play bad defense. He set up the offense, and he did a decent job defensively in the time that he was here. So he would fill a role. I wouldn't hate it. He's not my favorite player in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but again, you're talking about 10th, 11th guy. Okay, I could see it. Is he that much better than Campaign? I don't know. I think they're, they bring different things to the table, but they're kind of in a similar bag. But if Ben Simmons is healthy, he's a superior player to both. I just doubt that he can last the whole season plus a postseason, just because back injuries are tough.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm ready for the season already.
Yeah. This is a tough part of the sports year, man. Football hasn't started yet. The NBA season is over. There's no off-season news. Everybody's kind of settled in for till training camp, and it's just kind of like, well, if you like baseball, I guess you're okay, but I'm not a baseball guy, so it's kind of a dead zone for time for me.
Yeah, but baseball's still in the middle. It's not like you're still in July, so it's not. Right now those games are like just games.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Geoff, I appreciate you. Check out Geoff's blog, Happily Ever Klafter.wordpress.com. The link is in the description. Ajay, Hollywood, the Hulk, the villain.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. Appreciate you.
I gotta fix this camera, man.
Yeah. Jerrell, I appreciate you as well. The chat, the replay game.
Thanks for calling.
Yes, Lord Scientist, thanks for calling. The silent listeners, we appreciate you. We will be back. We're back to once a week, so we won't be back on Monday unless there's something happens and we do a pop-up show. Otherwise, we will be back next week, Thursday, 9 p.m. Until next time, family.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Go so.
Where you at?